Gold prices plunged on October 21st, recording the steepest one-day drop in over a decade, driven by investors booking profits after a historic rally and renewed optimism over potential trade deals between the U.S. and China, which also faded. Magnitude of the drop. Gold prices fell 6.3%. Silver dropped 8.7% in a day. Because everybody thinks it's an inflated price because of fucking prepper morons. Meanwhile, this explains everything. Donald Trump's making everything gold. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about the value of a pretty rock. This is real money. When we're all living in the Book of Eli, you'll really want a shiny coin as proof of monetary value, so that you can melt it down and make it into a crown as you control your mini kingdom of I don't know, trailer parks, whatever the fuck, in your Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome future. You could trade gold coins for pig carcasses. This explains everything. Well, please explain everything, Glenn Beck.
Before I start this on gold, I want to ask you...
do I really think you're going to try and sell gold? Do you have your gold-selling asshole who comes on your show every so often, like all these other ones do? Whenever you start bringing it up, you always kind of dovetail to like, I've got an expert who works for Pioneer Gold. Patriot Gold is on with us today.
What is Donald Trump? Is Donald Trump a guy who likes to cut the spending? No. He believes in debt, right? But what he believes in more than debt is growing the bottom line.
Well, he has to pay the debt, dipshit.
So you
can't. I mean, yeah, you would. The idea would be, in theory, in business, you take out some debt and you build on that, and then you repay the debt with your increased bottom line. In theory,
grow your way out of things. So keep that in mind as I'm trying to make sense of gold. And what I'm going to share with you is just a theory. I think I might be right on this, but I don't know.
Which is basically the theme of this entire fucking network. The Blase's whole thing is, I think, but I don't know. And I'm probably wrong, but we'll see.
Okay. Gold is rocketing.
Well, This posted an hour ago. Not so much. Gold price plunged October 21st by its steepest amount since. And again, because it's an attitude commodity, it's not based on anything.
No, it's now almost, what is it, $4,300 or $4,400 an ounce today.
Well, yeah, because some dickhead is using it to, like, wallpaper the White House.
And I've always told you, you don't want to see a world with $5,000 an ounce gold. That is, when $5,000 an ounce happens, that means the trust is going away for the financial system and the financial markets.
Right, yes. So that's why the price of gold was going down by and large during Biden, except during little spikes where maggots would buy a shit ton of it because of assholes that guest on his show and other people's shows, where they're convinced you're like, gold is real money. You want to get your gold, and it's your real money.
The dollar.
Here we've got Bob Menendez coming out here to tell you
is starting to weaken, and the world is sending a signal. We don't trust any of this anymore. Now that may be true. That may.
Why would that be? Could it be because Trump is intentionally gutting the dollar by taking on way more debt, that he's not bringing the debt down at all? He ran with all these other maggots on the idea that we have an insurmountable amount of debt, and then he comes in and raises the debt ceiling $5 trillion in one fucking bill, so he never has to ask again, and then he raises the Pentagon budget to $1 trillion, and he's just fucking borrowing like fucking crazy. He's leveraging the $5 trillion with other money. He's Armando Montalongoing the real estate guy who created the fucking domino effect almost single-handedly that led to 2008 amongst all these people, like, buy a house and then take out an equity loan on that house and use it to buy another house and then do the same thing to that one and the same thing to that one. As long as you never miss a payment, you're good. And then you can't rent one of them and the whole thing falls apart. Right. That's what he's doing with the $5 trillion wiggle room he has. Where the fuck do you think we got $40 billion to send to Argentina.
Maybe true. But let me take you to another place, because maybe something that
Dipshit Island?
is happening that doesn't fit that script, because you're dealing with something new. You're dealing with Donald Trump.
Yeah, something new. Yep. Yeah, he's got all brand new ideas. All of it. Yeah. That whole king of debt thing that he still sticks to and is still living out and still playing out, and his ideas haven't fucking changed. They've just gotten darker and more fucked up.
So I think behind all of it,
What do you have written on the paper? What thoughts do you have written on the paper, Glenn?
there is a new strategy that is taking shape in Washington.
Okay. It's strategy.
Congress, doesn't have the stomach to cut any of the spending. And Donald Trump believes the opposite. Grow your way out, okay?
Which means he's not cutting either. That's the other reason he showed Elon Musk the door, is because red states use a lot more government spending and need more government spending than blue states do. And those are the people that were bitching at him.
So that's a recipe for deficit that is really quite frightening. But there is someone, and I think it's Bessent, who is finding a way to pull down the deficit without the usual political bloodshed.
Which would mean that gold should be coming down, should be about 3,000 an ounce, maybe.
One of the misunderstood tools in that strategy is something that you're going to be amazed that it hasn't happened before. It is the revaluation of gold. Right now, the government value.
Wait a minute. Is he making an argument that Bessent's going to rug pull everybody?
Use its gold reserves. We have 260 million troy ounces. That's what they say officially. We might have none, but we have 200.
Sorry. Okay, so Trump might be lying so much about the gold we have in reserve that there isn't any. Yeah, it's totally a gold commercial. Absolutely gold duck soup. Gold duck soup. I completely agree. It's going to be. That's where this is going to round up. I just fucking know.
And 60 million troy ounces. But we only value it at $35 an ounce. Why? Because that's the price FDR in the 1930s set gold at and said it's worth $35 an ounce. That hasn't changed. So on paper, that means the government, all of our gold that we have on paper, the whole gold hoard, is only worth $9 billion. So, okay, so wait a minute. But the market price today is almost $4,500, which would make that $9 billion actually worth $1.1 trillion. Now think about that.
Yeah, that's almost a year's worth of spending, almost. Except Trump has actually run up the deficit by $360 billion so far. So it's what, 1.8?
The United States is sitting on $1 trillion asset, and we don't even count it.
Well, it's not an asset. It's a fucking pretty rock. I got to tell you. Like, unless we're going to use it like a rare earth mineral of some sort, And by the way, isn't that the smart thing to do? Keep it low, and so you'll never sell it till the price goes fucking crazy. Is that the idea? Is you're going to sell a bunch of it at $4,500 an ounce, and then because there's so much of it, and then watch it crash the price and buy it back? Well, I mean, it worked with Biden and oil.
Why does this matter? I want you to think of your home.
It's a pleasure. It's different than your house. Think of your home. I mean, the house is nice, but I always think when I picture a home, I picture it sort of like one of those places where the hobbits lived in the side of a hill.
Imagine you're going into a bank and you want to go buy a car.
Am I bringing my home with me? Is the bank in my home? Okay.
Okay. And you have your salary and you're in debt.
I'm carrying my salary. Well, that shouldn't be too hard.
And you're just barely.
Because I don't have a salary. I work for you guys right now, so I'm here by your good graces. Thanks, Super Chatters.
Making it.
And everything's a tip now, I think. So fire away.
Your home on paper has only been valued at $5,000 because when your parents bought it all those years ago, it was $5,000.
Yeah, that's not how it works at all. That would never be how it works. They're never going to go, how much did your parents pay for this house? You've been living in it a long time? Yeah, it's probably still worth that.
And now you're sitting here and it hasn't changed in value. It has in reality, but you're still counting it as the bank and saying, yeah, well, my grandfather or my father paid $5,000 for this, and so it's worth $5,000.
No one would ever do that. What the fuck are you talking about? Who is the viewer of the blasé that walks in with snot coming out of their ears because their brain is made entirely of mucus at this point, that thinks or approaches anything like this? But please go on.
You know, the bank would know, no, it's not. It's worth $1 million today. What changes if this is called mark to market? This is a usual thing. You mark the price to what the market value is. Mm-hmm. Your price of your house goes down. You are poorer on paper because the value.
Oh, let me explain this to you. This is a little different. My home is a terrible example. Your home is a terrible example. How about this? How about Mar-a-Lago? It's a great example you brought up, Glenn. Thanks so much. So you buy Mar-a-Lago, but the rules are such that you cannot turn it into anything else other than an event space. No one can live there. It cannot be a home, and it cannot be, because it's a historical place, knocked down. So when you go to the bank and say the building next door down the street is worth $1 billion now because you can build an apartment complex on top of it, so the property is worth that. I want the same for my place. They go, fuck you, because Mar-a-Lago is and can only be sold at this amount because it can never be turned into anything else. That's where the mark-to-market thing is totally fucked up. That's why Trump was full of shit when he was saying that it's worth $1.5 billion or some nonsense, because other buildings in the area are worth $1.5 billion, but they don't have rules set around the purchase that keeps you from doing anything with the property. Asshole.
Value of your house has gone down and it's marked to market. If the price has gone from $35 an ounce to $4,500 an ounce, then you mark to market and everything changes. Suddenly, if that's your house, $5,000 to $1 million, now you can buy that new car. You walk into the bank and you're like, I'm going to buy a $50,000 car. And they're like, well, let me see your assets. And you're like, oh, well, you have a house that's been paid off and it's worth $1 million. Where yesterday it was worth $5,000. Today it's worth $1 million because it's actually worth that if you sold it. And so the bank goes like, oh, you're fine. You're fine. Yeah, sure. Here's 50 grand. Go buy that car. Suddenly your profile looks different overnight. Okay.
No, it doesn't. It always looked like that. You didn't walk into the bank going, my dad built this house with his bare hands. It was a log cabin. We've changed it a little bit. We have a trailer parked on the property now, but it was worth $5,000. Is there any possible way I would really like to buy this Pinto, even though it's on fire, for $6,000? And I know I'm asking a lot, but you're like, actually, it's the trailer's, it's in Malibu. It's the old Rockford Files trailer, and you own the property. That's worth about $16 million now. It is? I never even thought about it that way.
That is what I believe is coming in America. I believe they're going to revalue gold.
So? Fuck difference does it make? It's still not it's not anywhere. Our national debt's like $36 trillion. It'll be 40 by the time Trump leaves, easy. It'd probably be closer to 42, which is the answer to life, the universe, and everything. So maybe there's something in that.
That without raising taxes, without cutting a single program, it would instantly improve the nation's balance sheet.
Oh my God. No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't change a fucking thing. It would be flim-flam, dum-dum. And nobody factors it like that. Okay, if you set the price at $35 back then, it doesn't mean that that's the price set forever. How do you think we acquired more gold? If the U.S. bought gold and put it in stores, we didn't go, well, we're only paying $35 an ounce for it in 1987.
Our debt to asset ratio would shift dramatically. Have you noticed in the last year, everybody's like, their debt to asset ratio is way out of whack, and they're now 125%, whatever it is. Okay, that would change.
No, it wouldn't. It would basically zero out the extra spending from this year, which is still too much and going to keep going up. What the fuck are you talking about?
The dollar would legitimately appear to be stronger, and
oh God,
the deficit, at least on paper, would shrink.
At least on paper. That's adorable.
Shrink.
Oh, so he could just lie about how much he's spending. Because you're not going to borrow. You're still borrowing money to do it.
Now, add to that, again, what Donald Trump believes, and
that women are playthings, even if they're as young as 12 years old, and that that it's okay to fantasize about sex with your daughter, and that being friends with Jeffrey Epstein, who would have known?
You may not agree with it, but
I don't. All those things and whatever the fuck you're talking about.
He believes I can grow the economy. So you combine that with the H-1B visa fees.
Then we're making money.
You do the tariffs expected, to bring in money, and then also the expected $8 to $12 trillion in foreign capital investments that are flowing into the United States.
No, they're not. No, they're not. They're talking about a 5 to 10 year game on these things. The numbers haven't changed at all. It's the regular numbers. They're like the biggest expenditures are in these data centers, which are being built based on like loan guarantees and grants given out during the Biden administration that Trump walked back initially and then quietly put back in.
If all of that is real,
it's not.
Suddenly, the
deficit, we can pretend the deficit doesn't exist.
The picture doesn't look quite so desperate because
it doesn't look. It is, but it doesn't look that way. You know how a mirage looks like a river, and if you're thirsty,
it looks like we are growing again, and
it looks like we're growing. Fuck you. Can you imagine? Can you fucking imagine if fucking somebody on MSNBC was talking about the Biden economy like this? If we just revalue gold, then we're still borrowing the same amount of money, but it doesn't look like we are. Fuck you.
Actually would be growing again. The debt doesn't shrink by cutting. It shrinks by growing. It shrinks by growing the economy and expanding the...
Yeah, but you have to do it for real. You can't pretend it's growing, you dickhead.
...economy beneath it. That...
Glenn's found the answer. Pretend growth. Let's just fake it.
Trump's mark. That's always what he's believed in.
Yes. Fake numbers. Lying to the banks. That's what he's talking about. That's what this is. Like, wait a minute. Maybe Trump, because, he was convicted of multiple counts of fraud, but maybe if he could do that same fraud thing that he did that allowed him to fucking bullshit everybody during The Apprentice to make them think he's a good businessman. And then how about this? How about Besant, instead of releasing like a quarterly report on the health of the economy or something like that from the Treasury, they just release their own version of Art of the Deal and tell everybody it's awesome. You can even get somebody to ghostwrite it.
So while I've been sitting here going, you don't want $5,000 of gold. You don't, but it...
Unless you're creating a Ponzi scheme.
Also might be a good thing. Let me give...
Jesus Christ. No, it's not. No, it's not. It literally would be, you're explaining... Oh, fuck me. You're explaining an emergency. You're explaining like, okay, shit, if no one trusts anything and the fucking economy is headed towards massive collapse, at least we could revalue gold based on that number and pretend we're doing all right as everybody else crashes And we crash right along with them.
There's more. Washington is floating the idea, and Mike Lee.
Oh, Washington is? Sorry, Washington is. They all got together. Did Muriel Bowser call a group meeting? Did they meet over by the reflecting pool and gather around the fucking George Washington phallus?
He got hammered for this, but this is a Besant idea. Mike Lee is floating the idea of selling off portions of vast federal portfolio. We have all this land. These are not national parks. We have millions of acres of unproductive and unused territory.
Yes, and the only thing it does is sit on top of our aquifers where all our fresh water comes from in the middle states. If you don't have a Great Lake, welcome to being completely fucked. Thanks, Mike Lee.
I have known this from central bankers for 20 years that
Sorry, you hang out with central bankers?
they actually have said, we should sell the national parks. You know how much the national parks. I don't want you selling the national parks. What are you talking about? No, we're not selling the national parks.
He means selling the national parks.
But that's not what they're talking about.
Yeah, that's what they're talking about.
They're talking about cutting the
He's talking about selling grazing land to the Bundys.
inefficiency out of every department and taking land that is unusable and sellable.
Why would it be sellable if it's unusable? Sorry. It can't be used. What is it? In the middle of a fucking volcano?
That the government is holding and doesn't need to
Just to be a dick?
hold, selling that land, okay,
To someone who will do what?
which would allow us to build more houses,
I thought it was unusable.
expand, et cetera, et cetera.
Expanding, yes, expand, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. Yeah.
And increase the bottom line on the ballot sheet.
Jesus Christ. So a fire sale is what you're talking about.
Suddenly, with all of this, the pressure valves are opened up. Okay? Also put in here, nobody seems to be panicking about the government shutdown. And what is the government shutdown doing? What is Besant hoping?
That they can keep doing what they're doing as long as possible without the Epstein files coming out, because once it finally does, Trump is fucked and his people will run for the hills and they'll lose every election, and they know it.
He gets an opportunity to do. Cut. So now you're expanding with gold.
Why would Besant be in charge of cutting? What the fuck are you talking about?
The possibility of selling federal land at some point.
At some point.
You're bringing in $12 trillion of investment.
No, you're not.
You're getting the raw earth minerals from Venezuela and
The raw earth minerals? Oh, those are the ones that have more fiber in them, right? They're like brown rice. The raw earth minerals?
from
Rare, I think is what he means. Which, by the way, they're not rare at all. They're just spread out in the soil, in certain areas. And the processing of it churns up a lot of fucking land. And we use so much of our land that we don't want to churn it all up and turn it into a toxic waste site.
South America and elsewhere in the world. You've solved our military peace problem. We're no longer the world's policemen, so we're not.
Yeah, we are. What the fuck are you talking about? Trump's talking about us taking, going back into Afghanistan, taking Bagram back. He says we're going to be part of the fighting force that's going to, demilitarize Hamas now.
Having to do all of that stuff, which is a drain on blood and treasure.
Okay. Literally, there are like 3 red states that are kept afloat by the Ukraine war right now. That they've only survived post-COVID on the back of the fact that we are giving arms to Ukraine that they are supplying. That the U.S. taxpayer is paying money, it's been going to these red states where they make these weapons and sending them to Ukraine. If that wasn't going on, they would have to go back to whatever their standard allotment is to the military, which is a lot less, which they are still providing, by the way.
All of a sudden,
Also, if we're no longer the policemen of the world, what the fuck do we need $1 trillion military budget for?
you're starting to see that America is actually shoring itself up.
fuck, this is dumb. It's actually like actually, if you think about it, like by shoving your own head up your ass and looking around, daytime can be dark.
So what looks like chaos right now may actually be a controlled implosion.
That's better. Yeah, I feel a lot better. I'm glad we hung in there. Fuck you. Okay, I'm done. Like, goddamn. Can you imagine reaching up your own ass and fondling, like just feeling around for something? And you're like, I think I got something. And then just yanking your own colon outside. So it looks like your prolapsed anus looks like a sea snake. And you're just standing there. What the ever-loving fuck? That is, I guess, I need a new award. We got to have like the turd polishing award. And this year's Golden Turd Award goes to Glenn Beck for, the most ferocious, fierce, dizzying speed, the buffing, the shining, the wrist and elbow action that only comes from jerking off Donald Trump all the fucking time, to give you that kind of control and ability to polish a fucking turd that thoroughly. You can't even look at it. It's like looking into the Ark of the Covenant. It's just too bright. Your fucking brain couldn't handle staring at that polished turd as light glints off of it. Good fucking God. And the silver lining, kids. Let's look at the silver lining of Glenn Beck's fucking like ramble about. Do you think he would even have to be having a conversation like this if his audience wasn't freaking out? Do you think he would have to manufacture this like massive turd polishing operation if every one of his viewers wasn't going, prices haven't come down at the grocery store, and it doesn't look like they're gonna, and we're buying beef from Argentina all of a sudden, and then they're selling soybeans to them. We have to bail out our farmers again, and wait, what? And he's building a fucking ballroom with his own money while what? While like eggs and beef and all these things are like as expensive there as they've ever been, and they're gonna keep going up. Like the prices have not only not come down, they're still rising at about 2.5% to 3% all the time, on top of what they already hit. You have to understand, his viewers, the people who are stupid enough to watch the blasé all the time, those motherfuckers are they must be getting wind of this shit. They must be. You cannot buy this shit for as long as these people are expected to buy it. It's just not possible. They still got to go to the grocery. They still got to like fill their car with gas, and like, well, gas is cheap, but everything in the fucking convenience store is 20% higher than it was. These assholes are chewing each other out, and it's showing up in his comment section. It's showing up in people calling in. It's showing up in people like the woman who called in and chewed Mike Johnson a new asshole, which, he might enjoy, but it, definitely will set off your porn app.
You using the whole fist, Doc?
They're getting it. They're waking up to it. It's taken way more fucking time than it should for them to catch on. But that whole segment is proof that they are, because he's having to go like, all right, how do I talk these people down? Right? I don't have to do that. And I'm not particularly excited about being right. I would rather have a President Harris and not have to worry about a bunch of this crazy dipshittery. The only thing we would have to worry about is our left flank freaking out, the people who hardly ever, if ever, vote, but seem to command a lot of attention online, that want the system to collapse, so they're mad if any rules get applied to anybody equally and normally. They're just as imbalanced as the maggotry are. But that's a small price to pay for things actually working right. Yeah, the 90 million that couldn't be bothered to vote. This is what they voted for the record. The people who didn't vote, this is what they voted for. That because in an election like that, what you're saying is, I was about to say basically, not even basically, exactly what you are voting for by not voting for is Trump. You're saying, I don't care which way it goes, and therefore, whatever is worse, whatever the worst possible outcome is, fuck it, let that happen. Yes. That's right. Not voting is actually voting. It is, in the immortal words of, I think it was Neil Peart actually wrote the lyrics, if you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice. This is what they chose. They chose to let this motherfucker cock up everything so badly that every, media supporter that he has is either turd polishing his fucking fake peace deal or his bullshit economic picture while all pretending to be in a private club in a walled off subdivision, or they are attacking him for being being an enabler of or a supporter of the people who facilitated Charlie Kirk's murder as a distraction from the Epstein files. I'm not kidding. That seems to be the two big splits right now in maggotdom. Maggot media is in two different directions, and you'll hear these little half erect attempts to bitch about the No Kings rally. By the way, there were arrests for violence at the No Kings rally. They were all maggots who attacked people. There's like 20 of them nationwide. By the way, millions of people come out. 20 people get arrested in the whole fucking country. They're all maggots who attacked somebody at a fucking rally. All of them. All of them. And yet he's going to use the Insurrection Act against the people that were attacked and who were walking peacefully in fucking inflatable frog costumes and dressed as unicorns. Yeah, flaccid attempts. Yeah. They're like limp dick attempts at a power push. I'm trying to figure out a way to say this that's incendiary, but and gross, but not totally shocking. Sure.